get my lighting right. How about that? Because I did realize that I've been neglecting my Instagram forever, and and I needed to not do that. I also made a commitment to get back to my regular lives, especially as it relates to brand builder tips, and especially because we have another brand builder boot camp coming on June 3rd. So I'm super duper excited about that and how I've revamped all the curriculum, especially it had to be revamped with the pandemic. I mean, when I first started teaching the class 3 years ago, we didn't know that a pandemic was coming. We had never experienced one in our lifetime, and things have truly changed. But let's get into today's message. So for those of you that don't know, I host a radio show on Monday mornings on a radio station called WGLB. I'm on from 6 to 10, and it really is it's an offshoot of what I do when I do Power Talks and when I have Power Network events. And I'm thankful that the station allows me to do that. And it is a faith-based station. So in between, I play inspirational music. So it's a win-win all the way around because, you know, the Power Network is all about impact. And I'm a woman of faith. I'm also a leader. I'm also a businesswoman. So I get to combine all of those things. But this morning I had an amazing entrepreneur on with me, Yasmin Curtis, and she dropped such gems. Go back and watch the replay if you missed it. But she inspired this Power Talk. So shout out to Yasmin. And plus she is outside of Chicago girl like me. So, you know, we were talking about her being a restaurateur in Chicago. So she has a restaurant in Chicago called Two Fish Crab Shack. And it didn't start off that way. It started off as a sports bar, and she had Seafood Fridays, and she realized that that was her highest revenue day. And so she was like, why stay a bar? Why sell all this other food? Let's make a transition. And this is pre-pandemic to just being a crab shack. And so she did that, and the rest is history. And it became very, very successful. It's one of the most popular restaurants in the Bronzeville area in Chicago, and one of the most popular crab shacks in the city. And it's Black woman owned. So next time you're in Chicago, make sure you get there. Well, then the pandemic hits. And, you know, if you saw any of the memes about the amazing Chicago Bear, she is no joke, and she was no joke about telling people to stay in the house. It was really critical to her, being the leader of such a large city with such a huge population, that the city stay safe. And so she was really serious about that. And she shut down restaurants. I mean, you know, I live in Wisconsin now. Wisconsin did not take precautions as seriously as Illinois did, just as someone who tends to navigate between the two quite often and has done so during the pandemic. That being said, we don't have as large of a population, but it's really no excuse. You should just want everybody healthy. But anyway, so when they closed the restaurants down, she had some decisions to make. I mean, she was home, and she was trying to figure out how to still service her consumer. And so that was her initial thought. How can I still make sure the people that love my food can get my food? And how can I do it in an expeditious and safe way that I can retain my consumer and continue to service them? And so I think that was lesson number one about, you know, staying ready. And when it's bigger than you, you don't just think revenue. You don't just think, how can I stay afloat? You think, how can I continue to service my consumer? Because that's really what true leaders go into, whatever they go into for. It's to really provide a service. And so that was point A that really stood out to me. Next point being is that, so she's sitting at home, she said, and she's thinking about the business, and she's strategizing on what she can do. And she goes in her kitchen and figures out how to freeze her product and how to jar her sauce up so people can drive up and go. And so that was, number two is like, we need quiet time. I say this in my classes all the time. If you're taking my business planning class tomorrow, I'll probably repeat myself. When you can't be so busy working in the business that you don't work on the business, especially if it's your business. So don't be so busy working in the business that you're not working on the business. As a business owner, as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, especially when you have a small business, you wear multiple hats, or you probably wear every hat. That being said, if you are not working as hard on the business as you are in the business, then who is actually working on the vision, the growth, the succession plan, et cetera. And so that is so critical, and so many people miss it, and they don't sustain their business because you have one thing going and they'll become a one-trick pony, and then all of a sudden it's like, yo, what happened to my business? Well, you were so busy working in that one thing that you forgot to work on it, and you forgot to train other people, and you forgot to look at your numbers, and you forgot to get an accountant, and you forgot to make sure you were legally protected. And so it's so critical that we don't just work in our businesses, that we work on our businesses. And same thing in life. Don't be so busy doing life that you're not building a life. I mean, so it's a cross-functional thought process. So that was the next piece. So she figured out a way to get into her consumers' hands. And then next thing, there was a vendor fair that happened in the neighborhood where her restaurant stands in Chicago. And she actually just shared a table with a friend and thought that, it'd be great if, she could just get out in front of consumers in the neighborhood and sell some products. She said she got an ice cream truck so she could keep it frozen, and I got some wraps to put her logo on it, etc. Just here's the thing about women, and especially Black women, like, we're resilient, we're innovative. If we actually slow down to give ourselves time to think and to strategize on things. That's why, you look and you see me always pushing, like, come have a power hour with me, let's strategize. Because what happens then is, in that hour that I have you, then your full attention is focused on whatever it is that you need to focus on. And matter of fact, for Mother's Day, that's on sale for $75. It's usually $99. So just a shameless plug on that, because honestly, God told me to move power hours the way that, and to keep them, because most of my colleagues across the country, and even me, for larger clients, charge hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars per hour. But like I said, this is something that I came into not just to make money, but to impact lives. And so I never wanted to not be accessible to people who don't have the discretionary income to pay hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And so, I open up a few spots of my time each month to do power hours. So they're on sale for $75 this week. You can Cash App Power, or you can PayPal at paypal.me/Power Network. Okay, back on to the message. So the thing is that if we take time to strategize and really think about it, usually the answer will come to us. And so, and if we take time to take chances, going to this vendor fair in the middle of the pandemic and hoping that people would show up because you don't know, that was taking a chance. That was taking a leap of faith. So she took that leap of faith, and Mariano's, which actually happens to be one of the largest grocery chains in Chicago, and it's actually the cousin to the Pick and Save Metro Market chain, because it's owned by Roundy's here in Wisconsin, which actually I think it's connected now to Kroger's, like, things, the government breaks things up for it all to come back together. So anyway, they happened to be there, and they started asking her questions about the product because they had already heard about it. And she said, honestly, like, I didn't have all the answers to their questions, but I didn't let that stop me from having the conversation. I didn't let that stop me from saying, I don't know, but I will find out. And so that's the next tip. Is so many people are out here trying to fake it till they make it and pretend like they know all be all. None of us know everything, and none of us know what we don't know. And so there is power in the statement, I don't know, because one of two things are going to happen. Either you're going to do like she did and you're going to say, I don't know, but let me research and find out. Or the person who you say I don't know to may have the knowledge which you need, in which case they're willing to share that with you because you were vulnerable enough to say you don't know. So I don't like to say fake it till you make it. I like to say face it till you make it. So face the fact that you don't know. Face the fact that you're at this crossroads. Face the fact that you want to grow your business and you're not sure how. Face the fact that you feel stuck on your job. Face the fact that you want the promotion but you don't know how to talk to your boss. Face the fact that, whatever it is, like, the only way out is through, and the only way through, we can't confront what we don't acknowledge. No, we can't acknowledge what we don't confront, and we can't conquer it either. And so I just screwed that quote all the way up, but y'all get the gist of it. So that was the next point. So then she did the research. She figured out how to package it to their specifications and to FDA specifications, which got it approved to be in their stores. It became a very good revenue generator for them. And they actually said to her, let's see how this does in our Milwaukee market. Hence, now Two Fish To Go is in Milwaukee. And so I said this about stay ready because at every turn, because I asked her, today, like, how did, and she said, I was scared. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have the answers, but I just kept moving by faith. And, a lot of us want to see it. We want to see the whole picture. We want to see how it's going to turn out. And if we can't see how it's going to turn out, then we won't move. And I tend to be a person, and, I can thank my mother for teaching me this, to think about, like, what's the worst thing that can happen? I mean, we were already in the middle of a pandemic. Her restaurant was already shut down. She already was servicing her consumer via a drive-through type situation. So the worst thing that could have happened was that she kept doing what she was doing, or even another backtrack to that, she went back to corporate America. But at the end of the day, she wasn't going to die. She wasn't going to allow herself to go broke. And a lot of times, we are so dramatic in our thinking, especially in our negative thinking. But what if we were just as dramatic in our positive thinking? What if we were just as audacious and tenacious and bold in our belief that things will work out for our good and that things will be positive? Like, how about that? How about you stay ready at all times for something good to be happening in your life? How about you stay ready for that raise? How about you stay ready for that promotion? How about you stay ready for new customers? How about you stay ready for new clients, new opportunities? How about you believe right now that there's somebody talking about you in a room that you're not even in, to people that you've never even met, who have a connection to help you double your income, triple your income, to hit your revenue goals for this year? And so the mind is trained to believe whatever we feed it. And I feed mine success. So you want to know what I eat a majority of the day? Success. Like that's what, and knowledge. I'm constantly feeding it, because at no point am I trying to feed it failure. Because at the end of the day, to me, failure is a fallacy, because I only fail if I quit. And at the end of the day, I'm not a failure. I'm a winner. I already won. The race is rigged. Like, they call it the human race for a reason. And the race is rigged, and it's rigged in my favor. And why do I say that? Because I've decided that. And then also, as a woman of faith, I've got a book called the Bible that backs it up. So between those two things, like, that's just where I'm at. So my point in recapping the interview with her this morning is because I have the great honor and privilege of working with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of entrepreneurs year after year. Sometimes I actually, somebody scrolled through my timeline recently. They won 40 under 40 this year, and they've just gone on to do some great things. And I realized, like, 4 years ago, they had a power hour with me. And it was like, whoa, it's like the numbers have gotten so big of the people who have entrusted me with their hopes, dreams, career planning, et cetera, that it has to come back to my remembrance of, like, yo, I played a small part in that journey, and I thank God for it. And like the as a coach, as a strategist, like the best thing that can happen is for the people that have entrusted you with their gifts, with their talents, with their hopes, with their dreams, are to win the championship. So to see this person getting honored in awards, it's like, yo, that's dope. I remember sitting in Starbucks. I didn't even have an office back then. I had just really launched the consulting piece of the business, that, we were sitting in a noisy Starbucks in a corner, and I had my notebook out. Now I'm all fancy with my iPad Pro and my Apple Pen and all that. But no, it wasn't no logo and LED lights or anything like that back then. No gubernatorial proclamations and common council salutations. There was none of that happening. It was just me believing that I was called to help people, and me being willing to answer the call. So what I will say is that when I think about 2020 and this beginning of 2021, because I do have the honor of working with so many organizations, small businesses, large corporations, churches, faith-based businesses, social service organizations, nonprofits, et cetera. The ones that I see not only just sustaining, but actually growing, are the ones that were already ready to make a pivot and a change. I remember when I was still in corporate America and I was at the phone company, and they said, like, on our first day of training, like, the only thing we can promise you around here is change. Like, because things were always changing, because technology was always changing. Telecommunications is a heavily regulated environment, so regulations are always changing. The internet was just coming into fruition. Yeah, that's how old I am. So, things were changing. The way people communicated were changing. Cell phones were becoming a regular thing. You didn't just have some big bag and and had to be like some super millionaire or dope boy to have a cell phone. So all of a sudden, like everything was changing. It was changing like this, like this, like this. Like payphones were becoming non-existent. Like all of these things were happening. And so every day we were just getting new methods and procedures and new processes and new ways we had to do things and new ways we had to say things and all of these things to protect people's privacy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's the same thing. I've carried that statement into life. Like the only thing I can promise you is change and evolution, and anything that's not growing is dying. And so I'm trying to grow and evolve in every facet of my life. And I'm trying to grow and evolve every facet of this business that I have been entrusted with, that I birthed, that I was given, that I created and have stacked my deck on to leave a legacy for my children. And that I left corporate America because I believed in it so fearlessly and so fiercely that I knew that I could make it work. And so when I look at entrepreneurs and those talking to me, there's two sets. There's the ones that weren't prepared, weren't ready, still trying to do it the old way, bumping their heads against the wall and trying to figure out, how am I going to do it different? And then there are those that are saying, I had a stellar 2020. Business just keeps growing. I made a pivot. It worked out in my favor. And now I'm just trying to keep up with the madness. Can you help me with succession planning? Can you help me grow to the next stage? Can you help me figure out how to manage this social media and this new following? Can you help me grow my social media following, because my actual business, as far as my tangible good, is going through the roof? Like there's so many things, and yet revenue was not an issue with that second bucket because they had already made changes that worked during the pandemic. And at the end of the day, we think, okay, one day we're going to wake up. We saw President Biden's address last week, and we're going to wake up and this thing's just going to be gone. And we're not going to have to wear masks, and the world's going to go back to normal, and everything's going to be how it used to be. And I'm here to tell you it's not. And we won't have masks. I do believe that day is coming. And I do believe that we will be out kicking it with one another in a much closer way. However, people's buying behaviors have changed. The way people use social media has changed. The way people engage with technology has changed. There are individuals who would have never ordered groceries who now love ordering groceries. There are individuals who would have never not been sitting in that pew on Sunday that now realize I can get just as much Jesus over the TV, through the Apple TV, through the computer, and on my phone. There are people who always went to the bank to cash their check, or always went to the bank to transact business so they could talk to the banker, that now do everything via the app. There are people who always went out and personally picked their grandkids and their kids' Christmas presents, that now love ordering online. There are people who had never trusted Amazon, didn't have an Amazon Prime subscription, that now have that. And so many things have changed. We've gotten used to, I don't really miss the movies like that. Now, when they say comes out on such and such date and it'll also be available on HBO Max or Amazon Prime, I'm like, perfect. And even if I got to pay, $20 or whatever, if it's like on Disney Plus and it's an upgrade, that's less than if I pay for all of us to go to the movies and the popcorn, etc. So the change that has happened is, a lot of it is going to be permanent, because people have realized how convenient technology has made our lives. And those who were the holdouts, because there's always different buckets when it comes to change. You got the early adopters, you got the ones that come in the second wave, you got the ones that come in the third wave, and then you got the holdouts that they just like, it don't matter, I ain't changing. And there's still some holdouts out there, but they're becoming very few and far between, because what something like a pandemic does is force them out of their comfort zone. And it's like, okay, if you're going to hold out, you're going to starve. If you're going to hold out, you're not going to have toilet tissue. If you're going to hold out, you're not going to have bottled water. And so that they had to say to their kids, grandkids, etc., bring me that phone that I never work, and show me how to do this, and that kind of thing. Even our kids, I think about the kids with my children being in school virtually. My 8-year-old is like a Zoom, TikTok, go-to meeting whiz at 8 years old. FaceTime, like her and her friends how to communicate in every way, shape, form, and fashion. They weren't doing that when they were seeing one another at school every day. That wasn't a necessary thing in third grade. But now all of a sudden, in order to continue to socialize, which is one of our most basic human needs, is that need for connection, they've had to figure out a way to do it via technology. And so just know that you need to be ready for whatever the next change is. Hopefully it won't be something as traumatic as a pandemic. Hopefully it won't be something that it takes this long to recover. Hopefully it won't be something that the government has to come in and shut us down and give out stimulus checks and all of the other things that have happened. But some type of change is inevitable. If it's not something like that, the market changes, the way we communicate changes, what's in style changes, what's trending changes, health, the way we view what is healthy and not healthy changes. Remember Pork had the campaign, they had to call themselves the other white meat because they was getting such a bad rap and people were stopping eating it. And same with red meat, the beef industry had to ramp back up. Milk is worried because, almond milk and oat milk and everybody coming on. Everybody trying to live a carb-free life. So bread companies are trying to figure out what to do. So you just have to be ready for whatever the change is. You have to build a business and be a leader that's agile enough to see the change coming and move with it and quickly figure out how to package it in a way that you can still service your consumer and that you can stay in business. Because those who don't do that become antiquated, left behind, and shut down. Like you have to either change with the times or you're going to get lost in time. That's it, point blank in the period. So stay ready. You don't have to get ready. Couple things. Tomorrow, I'm teaching a business planning workshop in partnership with the African American Chamber of Commerce of Wisconsin. So if you need a business plan, if you don't know how to start one, if you try and figure out how to do it yourself, this is a perfect class. And then it'll be followed up by a deep dive that I'm teaching on Monday evening. So when you register, you get into that. Saturday, I'll be in Chicago with Love McPherson for the next part 2 of her masterclass series, and it is free. It's called Reclaiming My Mind because this is Mental Health Awareness Month. So super excited to be with her again, helping to market and organize and do the technology behind her event. The Power Network's honored to do that. You register, go to Love McPherson's website. Let me get my phone out just a second, Erica, because I want to give that out. Because they set up a different website for the tickets. It is... One second, I want to answer her question. It's selflovemasterclass.online. So that is the registration link, selflovemasterclass.online. And if you're not familiar with who McPherson is, she's one of the nation's leading relationship experts. She has taught for Bishop Jakes on Woman Thou Art Loose. Oh, the business planning course, sorry. Go to the African American Chamber of Commerce of Wisconsin's website for that. And the link to register, that's a little further down in my timeline. It's aaccwi.org/spur, SPUR, and then you should see all the workshops there, and you should see mine for tomorrow. And then this week only, Power Hours on sale for $75 in honors of Mother's Day. They're usually $99. So if you want one-on-one time with me to strategize on what it is that you hope to do, what it is you're currently doing, how you can grow it, how you can make more money, how you can get out here, how you can gain exposure, then you can Cash App Power, or you can PayPal at paypal.me/PowHER Network, or my phone number 414-788-4205. So that's a deal, and it's this week only, and then it goes back up. And then last but certainly not least, on June 3rd, I am teaching the next Brand Builder Bootcamp, which is going to take what I mentioned in this video and put it on steroids. It's going to be 2 hours of just knowledge transfer of how things are going and what you need to do to prepare for business or your career. So whether you are already an entrepreneur, whether you're an entrepreneur still working a day job and your side thing, or you're corporate and you plan to stay there, doesn't matter. You're still going to walk away with something that can help you be a better you, and walk away with something that Do you do financial project? We do whatever it is that you desire to get done in the Power Hour. So I can't say we'll get all the way through your financial projections, and I'm definitely not an accountant. So depends on what you mean by financial projections, but the hour is yours. And so definitely I understand revenue goals. I write business plans, so I know about feasibility studies and et cetera. But if you're looking like go through your P&L, and I work with my accountant for that. And I know Jaquila Ross of Ross Financial, AKA the finance girl, definitely does workshops as well. So whichever one you need. That being said, last thing, June 3rd is the next Brand Builder Bootcamp. Like I said, I've revamped the entire curriculum because so much has changed in this post-pandemic world. And again, if we stay ready, we don't have to get ready. So I'm super excited to share all the new knowledge with everybody. And that class is on early bird special for $75 through May 15th. And then the goes up to $125. And so if you know, like I'm going to take class, like get it in for $50 less than it's going to be on May 15th, because this is cohort 8 of Brand Builder Bootcamp. We have graduates who have gone on to become, that have come in with just an idea like, I love traveling to Airbnbs, and, we've talked how to build their online audience. They built some of the largest Facebook groups and pages, period, where Facebook has actually called them, and become Airbnb ambassadors and now make 5 figures just from that. We've had so many published authors come out of that class. We've had individuals completely revamp their business after the class and double, triple, quadruple their social media following, which definitely impacted their revenue and saw increased profits. We've had individuals finish their doctorate while launching their business. I've had so many graduates go full-time entrepreneur after taking the class, after figuring out who their target audience is, what their messaging is, and what their brand actually is. And so I could go on and on with the successes of the hundreds of people that have graduated from the Brand Builder Bootcamp class. And I'm just thankful and honored that now we're up to cohort 8. Just, our 5 years in business, and that this continues to keep going. And this will be done virtually, as we've done all of them that have happened since the pandemic. And then after it's safe for us to all be together and everybody feels comfortable, we'll go back to doing the full week session. This is just a 2-hour virtual session where 2 hours a night for 4 weeks, the deep dives. But I don't know if that'll happen in 2021. So don't miss these smaller ones, because also too, the smaller ones are less expensive. So that being said, I think you all caught up on Power Network news. Hopefully, if you just tuned in, rewind, because before that I did teach. If you plan to join the business planning class tomorrow, go to the African American Chamber of Commerce of Wisconsin website, AACCWI.org, and I'm sure you can navigate registering that. I'm teaching one of their workshops. And thank you for everybody that tuned in on the radio this morning. Thank you for Yasmin for inspiring this live, as well as sharing your story, your entrepreneurial journey. Every entrepreneur's journey is different, but there are some consistencies to those who are successful. There is a formula to success. Everybody's steps may look different, but it's about consistency. It's about strategy. It's about planning, and it's about moving, and it's about taking calculated risk. And for so many, we have the fear factor there that we will not take calculated risk. I felt like I was talking to myself this morning when I was talking to Yasmin, because our thought processes were so much alike. When I stepped out to start a business, it was a calculated risk. I was like, okay, what is the absolute worst thing that can happen? I got to go get a job. I can get a job. I can get a good job. And so at the end of the day, I've already thought it all the way through and decided it worth the risk, because it was a calculated risk. And I will say that as long as you stay ready, again, you don't have to get ready. So I'm going to sign off. I've been up since 4:30 this morning, because Mondays I do the radio show. And I'm just happy to share with you guys and keep my commitment. And tune in tomorrow. We're going to have more good stuff. I'm going to get back to these regular lives, because I'm back, like the last month been crazy with both my COVID vaccines and the side effects I had from them. But I feel back like myself, and I'm excited to be back myself. And I'm thankful for that. And I'm thankful that I got vaccinated. People often ask me why those that haven't gotten it. And I said, I have some high risk members of my families, people that I love dearly. I'm also, it makes me feel better when I walk into a place knowing that I have protected myself to hopefully protect someone more vulnerable. It wasn't like that I felt like I was so vulnerable, which we are, but it really wasn't about me. I got it for other people. And I got it. So if I'm in the grocery store next to an older person, that I would be less likely to be asymptomatic and passing it on to them. And so, does it work? Does it not work? We don't know. It's kind of like one of those things of believing in Christ. Like when people ask me about it and they want to debate, I always go, well, I'd rather live believing and die and find out it wasn't true than live believing and die and find out it is true. And so this is one of those things like that. Like, I'm just going to believe. All right, you guys have a great Monday. I hope that this week is exceptional for everyone under the sound of my voice, whether you watch live or you hit the replay. If you've been blessed by this or you learned something, look, I'm still in, y'all know I host a faith-based show. I'm talking like I'm preaching. I'm like, if you've been blessed by this, no, if you have learned something, then please share this and invite other people to tune in to PowHER Talks, because we always talking about something good. All right, y'all. Peace, love, power. I'm out.